everybody, I am not dead yet, and today I am talking about Teofimo Lopez, the former undisputed lightweight champion who recently lost all of his titles to Kambosos Jr. in their fight. And originally I wasn't going to cover this. I actually didn't watch the entire fight. I honestly completely forgot about it and tuned in way late and only really caught the last 4 rounds of the fight. But from what I saw, I was really surprised at Lopez's performance. He seemed really gassed, which didn't really seem much like him, and he wouldn't really push the action, and in fact Kambosos would just kind of jab the crap out of him at long range. And it came out recently that Lopez was actually fighting with some really serious medical conditions. He was fighting with air in his chest. Apparently, according to this article that I have in front of me, he had like some hemorrhaging in his esophagus caused by his asthma along with the COVID that he contracted, and so he was at risk of what is called pneumomendiastium. Pneumomendiastium. Holy crap. Yeah, which basically he had like air in his chest and around his neck, and according to this article, and the doctor that examined him, he said he could have died for sure. How he breathed, I can't even explain it to you. It's like someone tied a 300-pound set of weights around his chest, like his neck and chest were in a vice. The air was surrounding his chest wall and his heart and his neck, places where air should not be. If he was hit in the neck or in the chest a certain way in a certain place, he could have developed a collapsed lung, and he would have instantly been down and unable to breathe and needing a chest tube. So the reason why I want to bring this up is first to kind of give props to Lopez for going 12 rounds in that condition. Like, holy crap. When I first saw him, again, I was like, why isn't Lopez pushing the action? Why does he seem gassed? It makes complete sense now. And oh my god, like, can you imagine going 12 rounds at the world level in that condition? Hats off to Lopez. Big ups on you, because oh my god, that is the true heart of a champion right there. But I also want to tie this a little bit back into all the death and all the kind of horrible things that we've seen happen this year in regards to athletes. When we see all of the deaths related to bodybuilding by people pushing the envelope, and even the backlash that Simone Biles received for not participating in the Olympics due to her mental health, because she said, hey, what I'm doing is very dangerous. I don't feel like breaking both of my legs or my neck or something because I'm just not mentally there. And then she got a ton of pushback and a ton of backlash, people saying that she should no longer be considered one of the greats of gymnastics. I want to bring this back to this because, first of all, Lopez didn't, because when I first read this, before I read the entire article, I was like, how the hell did he get past medical? Like, how is something like that slipping past doctors? And Lopez's statement was he thought it was just his asthma. He said, I fought through asthma before. I told everybody that if I told everybody, they would have canceled the fight, but I chose not to because of the amount of pressure I was under. I didn't want to hear people say, oh, another postponement, because this fight had already been postponed due to the COVID that he had contracted. And so look at that right there. Why did this fight happen? How did you get past medical? Because I didn't want to disappoint the fans. I was put under a lot of pressure, and I did not want to hear a bunch of people going, oh, Lopez is just making excuses to postpone the fight again. And again, I understand the mentality, and I understand, like, because a lot of people, the rules in sports, and in boxing specifically, but in any real sport, is that they are there to protect the athletes from themselves. Athletes have a warrior, do-or-die mentality, and they will push past some of the most brutal injuries, evidently, in order to continue to do what they love to do, and in order to continue to fight for their dreams. And I am no exception to that. I know there's a lot of people who, if you watch my previous video, will say, hey, you're a hypocrite. You know, you're the guy who apparently had 48 beats per minute blood level. Your doctor said that's really low, and yet you were more concerned about getting to be able to fight than you were about figuring out what this low blood pressure is. And again, while I have reasonable cause to believe that is simply because I am in good shape, what if there's something like this going on with me, right? Who knows? I won't know until my EKG comes in. But that is why the rules are in place. The rules are in place to protect the fighters from themselves, and to protect the athletes from themselves. And I want to draw attention to this specifically because of what happened with Simone Biles. Because Lopez felt it. He didn't know what he had, but he knew that there was something off. And again, he thought it was just his asthma, but he knew that if he mentioned it, they would have canceled the fight, right? Simone Biles knew that there was something wrong with her mentally. She just wasn't there. So she spoke up and canceled it. And look at the backlash she received. That would have been the same, if not more, backlash that Lopez would have received. And yet, he almost died because of that decision. He could have died because of that decision, right? Like, don't you think that's a little bit insane? You know, that, like, people say, oh, you're not the greatest because you're not willing to go and die. Well, Lopez proved that he's willing to go and die. I've seen a lot of people kind of comment on the situation and go, oh, well, I've seen a lot of people comment on the situation and be very critical of Lopez, talking about, you know, what he should have done in that fight and saying all these different things. And now it comes out that he could have died, right? We never truly know what's going on. And so I understand people judging, and I understand that, but at the same time, it's important to recognize that these athletes are people too, and that they ultimately, it's important for them to feel okay doing what they believe is best for them. Because, again, Lopez continued on partly due to the pressure he was put under, and that decision very well could have led to his death. Thankfully, it didn't. But to all the people that were chastising and criticizing Simone Biles for not wanting to compete when she felt that she was unable to, that she was not fit to compete, I invite you to read this article. I will have it linked in the description, to think about the situation and to think that you are a contributing factor to that problem. Yes, there is some personal responsibility on Lopez's part. He chose to fight knowing and feeling the way he felt. That's just how things go sometimes. But we as spectators, we as an audience, also have a role to play in all of this. And I think it's important to remember that athletes, as amazing as they are just as human as the rest of us, and are just as fallible as the rest of us. And you know, if we were a little bit more understanding of athletes' plights and pressures, maybe we would see less life-threatening situations. I stand by what I said in my Simone Biles video. I think that what she did was incredibly brave for this very reason, and I think more people should commend her and stand by her and encourage other athletes in the field to do what she did, to take a stand for herself and say, no, I do not feel ready for this. I think that takes immense courage. Not to take away from Lopez for what he did, because, again, imagine fighting a 12-round championship fight feeling like you have a 300-pound vest strapped to you, or that your neck is in a vice. That is no small feat either, but thankfully that nothing bad happened to Lopez. I'm really excited, though, because of this news, to watch the Lopez versus Kambosos rematch once Lopez is back into full health, because I'm really excited to see how he changes up his game plan and how his performance improves once he is better. But that is really all I have to say for this video. Until next time, I am not dead yet. Only the strong subscribe, and if you are not either, there is always a tomorrow waiting for you. Thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. If you want to support me, links are in the description. Oh, and before anyone talks about me calling myself a hypocrite or something, I do want to say that there is no reasonable cause for me to believe that anything is wrong. I do not experience any kind of chest palpitations or pains, and when my blood work came back, there was nothing irregular. The EKG is just the icing on the cake to prove that I am okay. But that's it. Till the next one.